Hi, good Monday, good evening, and good to have you with us starting off this week on the 20th, starting off the 57th District Tournament for us here at Your News Today, of course, is where I am out the door. The show tonight taped a few minutes ahead, to the tune of about 30 or so to try to get me out the door, and actually cameras to Sayersville City Council, McGoffin County Fiscal Court meetings, and myself to the ball game, but a full show ahead. Two focal points tonight, and that will be the search now being over for a wanted man of McGoffin County who was wanted on serious and felony assault charges. He didn't go down without a fight either this time when authorities did catch up to him over the course of the weekend. And we'll cover the recent Paintsville City Council meeting held over from last week. Several items discussed. A special recognition of Marlena Van Hoos, certainly well-deserved. But also, we'll talk about residents who took issue with the utilities rate hike that was just imposed, and some other serious points of the meeting that we'll focus on tonight, and a lot happening on our calendar, and a special birthday wish or two to start off the week as well, and much, much more. And of course, as I already covered just a second ago, definitely a lot of news that lies ahead, and that will include coverage of tonight's Lady Hornet, Lady Tiger matchup, and then Central and Sheldon Clark will face off in Game 2, tip-off set for 7:45. So a complete week full of high school basketball, and where best to see it than here, of course. You can see tonight's headlines right after these words from a few of our sponsors.
To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband.
A lot of serious discussions around several topics last week in the regular session of the Paintsville City Council. It began with a special honoring of Marlena Van Hoos. There was a presentation on the audits, ups and downs, discussion and votes on new fire and police equipment. And the president and CEO of HealthNet takes issue with another Air Medical's offering of insurance to the city a few weeks ago, and that of others. And the residents take in question, who was at the meeting, on the issue of the utilities rate hike and how they did it. All that included in tonight's coverage. The first item of business, a very special one, the most special of announcements for one of their most famous and beloved residents, one honoring Marlena Van Hoos. The mayor and city council doing so with a special city charm bestowed upon her, as well as the following proclamation.
Whereas it is my privilege as mayor of the city of Paintsville to be able to honor one of our outstanding citizens of our community, and whereas Marlena Van Hoos is a native of Johnson County and is being recognized all over the United States with her talent as a singer and a musician. Marlena Van Hoos has achieved fame by singing the national anthem at many sporting events, NASCAR races across the United States, and whereas she has received many awards for her gospel singing, 2012 recipient for the AMG Heritage Award, New Artist of the Year, 2013-2014 nominee for AMG Heritage Award winners, Artist of the Year, 2014 nomination of AMG Heritage Award winners, Young Artist of the Year, 2015 recipient for AMG Heritage Award winners, Youth Artist of the Year, and whereas her most recent accomplishments has brought her worldwide attention and praise from the news media and people who have seen her perform as the official anthem singer of the 2016 Republican National Convention. On Saturday, January the 21st, she was featured artist for the Day of Prayer at the National Cathedral with President Donald J. Trump and his wife Melania, and Vice President Mike Pence and his wife Karen in attendance. At this event, Marlena did her rendition of the gospel hymn, How Great Thou Art. At the conclusion of her song, she was the only performer of the day to be given a standing ovation, which was led by Melania Trump. Now therefore, I, Bill Mike Runyon, Mayor of the City of Paintsville, Kentucky, deem it an honor and a pleasure to extend to Marlena Van Hoos sincere congratulations and best wishes for the future, given under my hand as mayor of the city of Paintsville, Kentucky on this day, the 13th day of February 2017.
Given that long-standing applause and our camera angle, we couldn't work Marlena into the frame. I can, though, include some video that she has shared that was taken just days following the meeting, this time in Baltimore, Maryland, over the weekend. Multiple performances at the Honor Flight Summit, honoring our veterans.
I wish I was in Dixie, away, in Dixieland. I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie.
From there on to business, it was time for a presentation on the most recent city audit. Jim Bryan presented the City Council with a clean report indicating that the city had a total revenue of $5.782 million last fiscal year. That was an increase from $5.46 the year prior, solely due to the occupational tax increase that they implemented, going from 1% to 1.25%, with all of that tax increase going towards paying off a loan of $500,000 the city took out to get caught up on some bills. The auditor went on to outline that with a total revenue of $5.78 million, the city had a total expenditure of $5.86 million, spending $79,000 more than they took in technically. And then he moved on to some good news for the city ambulance service, in the black for the first time in several years.
I do want to say the ambulance department last year actually finished in the black last year. That was the first time since 2012 that they brought more revenue in than they spent. The ambulance department last year, they finished in black about $6,386. You know, it's a small amount, but you know what? That's a good sign. It's right.
Great.
Yeah. Revenues were up about $15,000 last year, but your payroll was down about $30,000. So you know, I just want to commend Ritt for that and so forth, managing the payroll and so forth. And of course, when your payroll's down, your payroll taxes are down, your employee benefits are down and so forth also.
Meanwhile, the financial outlook for 911 operations in Paintsville, which of course also covers the entire county of Johnson, were not as positive and in fact still showing 911 well in the red.
I just want to key in on the 911 fund. 911 fund last year, after revenues of $398,000, spent $510,000. So you had an excess of expenditures over revenues of $111,754. Now, I've been talking about this for the last, since I think 2007 or 2008 was the first year where the 911 was running a deficit. And it's been continuing since that point. And everybody knows that 911 is having difficulties generating revenue to cover its operating costs. So even though the general fund had an increase in fund balance of $173,000, you had a $111,000 decrease in fund balance on 911, and the general fund is subsidizing that loss right now. So even though you have that nice increase in there, it's got to cover the cost of the 911 overages. And I talked to the mayor the other day about this. If nothing happens in the future as far as trying to get in future funding increases or something on 911, you're going to have to put in your budget, because right now there's nothing in the budget to cover the overages on 911. So just, you know, in the future you might want to put that in a line item or something that you want to cover those overages.
The auditor also noted that counting that $111,000 in the red for the last fiscal year, 911 now owes the city general fund $496,000 since 2007, with everyone recognizing they have no real hopes of that ever being repaid to the city, but with no one willing to give up on 911 operations. In other business, the council had the second reading of the occupational tax ordinance, continuing the 0.25% increase at 1.25% as it has been for the past year. Emergency Management Director Gary McClure asked the City Council for permission to apply for a Homeland Security grant for a mobile command post. They awarded the bid on the Recreation Center generator to be put into that facility, and then approved to advertise for bids for a steel structure for which the generator will sit on in a raised fashion, keeping it some 18 feet off the ground above the 500-year floodplain. In other business, the city approved a purchase of a 2003 ambulance for the Paintsville Ambulance Service, a 15,000-mile unit for $27,900. With it being noted that the newest ambulance in their fleet is a 2009 model, with the second newest being a 2002. Chief Holbrook with the Paintsville PD was there to seek approval in purchasing 3 cruisers. The council already had approved the lease or purchase of 2 new cruisers, but he had found 3 relatively new but reconditioned cruisers at a Sagersville business, David Cordell's, in which he will purchase 3 cruisers with 500 to 600 miles on them each for the same price the city could have purchased 2. The council then voted to surplus a 2004 F-250, a 2005 Ford Explorer, and some other equipment on govdeals.com. Later, the council approved Mayor Runyon's recommendation that Jason Crum be appointed to fill a position on the Paintsville Golf Board. And Clinton Burley, CEO of HealthNet Air Medical Services, came before the council asking to give them a presentation, a follow-up, if you will, from a presentation about a month ago or so from another company in which he says the information that they presented to the council was incomplete. Information that another air medical company included in their presentation before the city council, trying to sell the city council insurance that the city would purchase that would cover air medical transport for all of its residents. Speaking directly to a couple of points he says that were made, one being on whether or not someone can be balance billed for services, saying that records indicate that about 55% of the city's population is on Medicaid or Medicare services, and that they can't be billed for air medical services by a company, and that leaves about 1,927 residents, which could be.
We don't have these membership programs. There are membership programs out there that cover every helicopter and every ground ambulance in the United States, coast to coast. They're out there. The information that folks can contact you, we don't sell it. We're not affiliated with them. There's no partnership agreement. I just want to make certain that this body understands clearly what's at stake here. If you make this investment, it is not a good use of your community dollars. To put it in perspective, I had this same discussion with Lawrence County Fiscal Court in January of 2016. They declined. Had this discussion recently with Johnson County Fiscal Court. They've taken no action. I urge serious caution. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
After that, the council went into executive session. They returned to their meeting saying that no action had been taken. That was followed by a motion to approve, and with a unanimous vote, they did so approve the lease agreement and renovations to a Tays Branch property. And after being questioned about the city's wrecker service policy, the mayor formed a committee to look into the possibility of a rotation list for wrecker services operating within the city limits. And one of the last discussions centered around these remarks made by resident and former fire chief Bob Dixon, who voiced his disapproval in that the Paintsville Utilities has now approved an increase of 4.46% that Dixon says was done retroactively.
As a resident of the city of Paintsville, I would like to voice my displeasure over the way the utility things are being handled. I think it's ludicrous. I think it's a slap in the face to the people that they propose to back up to 2012 and charge us retroactively. It's nothing personal aimed toward the utility commission, because I got a lot of friends on there, but it's business for them. It's business for me. You all, the people I look at here, you all didn't get where you are in life by being stupid. There's intelligence here, okay? And surely to goodness, you all see what's going on. It's a Mexican standoff. You don't want to let them charge the $8.29. And they're going to say, hey, you know, we'll let this over here go if you'll let us have the $8.29. Well, you know as well as I do that $8.29 is going to hurt a lot of people. It won't hurt me. And I'll pay it gladly if the prison, Walmart, and everybody else pays more than $8.29. It's not fair to charge me $8.29 and let the prison pay $8.29 or Walmart or whatever. It's not fair. It's not right. If our utilities is trying to raise a certain amount of money for the I&I project, that's fine. I understand that you got to progress. Okay, calculate what's needed and prorate it. I mean, I don't know about you folks, but I don't have the number of toilets in my house that they do at Walmart, and it's not fair. And I know that most of you all understand what I'm saying, and most of you all are behind this, but I just wanted you to hear it from a citizen, and it's not fair, and I plead for your help, your assistance.
Going back to this 4.46, I want the public to know that we were not aware of this until, you know, we got blindsided with this. I mean, no council member here was aware that they had enacted this.
I remember when, years ago, when council, I was at a meeting, when council gave the utility commission the authority to raise it each year per consumer price index. I remember that meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
The only problem I got with this is that raising this all at one time and not doing it when it was supposed to be done. I question whether this is legally right to do this or morally right to do
Sir, I propose to you that if our utility commission did all right in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, then what's going on?
And following some more discussion, there was a motion made and approved to delay putting those increases on utility bills until a special session meeting that the mayor has requested could take place to try to resolve the issue.
This report coming in late Friday about a trial that wrapped up just that afternoon about a Berea pharmacist, 41-year-old Lonnie Hubbard, who's been convicted by a federal jury on 71 counts, including 56 drug counts involving the illegal dispensing of controlled substances without a legitimate medical purpose, and dispensing pseudoephedrine, knowing that it was going to be used in the manufacture of methamphetamine. Also, several counts of money laundering, conspiracy, and more. The jury deliberated 3 hours after an 8-day trial before finding him guilty. According to evidence presented at the trial, beginning in 2010 and for 5 years, Hubbard, who owned prescription discount pharmacy in Berea, sold prescription pain pills with no medical purpose and pseudoephedrine, knowing that it was going to be used in methamphetamine, to known addicts and drug traffickers from central and eastern Kentucky counties, many of which. The evidence also established that many of Hubbard's customers visited pain clinics in Florida, Ohio, Tennessee, and Georgia to get illegitimate prescriptions from irreputable clinics, and Hubbard would charge great deals of cash to fill them, $600 to $1,000 to fill a cocktail of prescriptions, which included excessive amounts of oxycodone. And according to further testimony during his trial, he also sold multiple boxes of pseudoephedrine at one time to many people at excessive prices to drug addicts and traffickers. And from 13 to 15, his pharmacy was the #1 independent pharmacy retailer of pseudoephedrine in the entire state of Kentucky. And those who got drugs at his pharmacy testified that that was the only pharmacy in Kentucky that would fill their out-of-state prescriptions for pain medications. Over 20 doctors from Florida and Georgia and Tennessee who wrote the illegal prescriptions related to this case have either surrendered their medical license, been indicted, or are currently under investigation. He made more than $2 million in cash from the illegal sales and used that money to buy homes and cars and boats and other items. His wife, Megan, was sentenced earlier this month for her involvement in purchases of property that came from the unlawful sales of prescription drugs and pseudoephedrine. She also received a sentence of 5 months imprisonment and 5 months of home detention. 3 other co-defendants have also pleaded guilty and are due to be sentenced. As for Hubbard, he is scheduled to be sentenced on June the 6th, faces 20 years on several charges, 20 years on several other charges as well, and 10 years on the individual money laundering counts. Well, the manhunt is over for a McGoffin County man. I broke the story to you last week where a McGoffin County man fled the scene of a domestic assault, seriously injuring a woman who he beat with a weapon, who we believed, that being the suspect, was shot at the initial call. Apparently, we still can't confirm that, but we did confirm to you in this report, which I'll show you just a brief part of the footage from last week, that when the Kentucky State Police arrived, the suspect fled the hills and was soon the target of a search, which ended with the arrest by the McGoffin County Sheriff's Department over the course of the weekend.
It was a week ago this morning around 7:30 when EMS and law enforcement were called to a residence on Trace Branch in the 460 area, going out of Sagersville towards West Liberty. And it was there that Kentucky State Police Officer Mike Goebel noted in his report that he found a woman that had been injured, and they were looking aggressively for a man who intentionally caused serious physical injury to that woman by means of a deadly weapon or dangerous instrument. State police responded to the victim's residence, that being a Donna Helton on Trace Branch, that Monday morning, and she told the state police that the individual that had just left the scene, Marcus Sparks, had hit her with a .38 handgun pistol several times, causing damage to her face, her nose, her eyes, leg, and arm, and that she got away from the subject sometime just before he ran out the door. He ran into the hills. As the state police arrived, police gave chase but were unable to locate him. Officer Brian Tipton with the McGoffin County Sheriff's Department, however, now details in an arrest citation that I received over the course of the weekend that he got a tip that Sparks was staying at a certain location in McGoffin County. They also were aware of the arrest warrants in his name on some felony charges. And when they pulled into a residence into the driveway, they made their way to the door, and then again, Sparks took off out the back door. Officers with the Sheriff's Department ordered him to stop. He continued to run up the hill and into the main roadway. After crossing the roadway, he kept running down a bank and into a hayfield toward a creek, the police still giving chase. He would not stop or obey those commands and ran into the creek, and once he got into the water, he stopped there and stood there as officers gave him orders to come back to the creek bank. He refused, and they went in after him. There was an altercation. He still wouldn't get his hands up out of the water. Refusing to do so, it took 3 officers to place him in handcuffs and take him into custody. He refused to stand, walk, obey any commands getting back to the creek bank. In all, police lost at least 1 handheld radio, 3 flashlights, and handcuffs into the water. Only a few of the items which were able to be discovered or recovered, the rest of them lost. And now Marcus E. Sparks, 30 of Sagersville, is jailed on assault in the 2nd degree, and then additional charges of fleeing and evading, resisting, criminal mischief, menacing, and disorderly conduct. Now, real quickly on to some very important calendar announcements tonight brought to you by McGoffin Farm Bureau. I had somebody come into the office last week and tell me that this lady was celebrating her 94th birthday today. In her honor, they were having a nice get-together and party for her on Saturday. I even got an invite, but was in Frankfurt all weekend and just could not make it, obviously. But I want to take time today, a little extra special time, to wish one of my most faithful viewers, I am told, Catherine here, a very happy and a very special 94th birthday. From a whole lot of your family and a whole lot of your friends, Catherine, and from myself and all of us here at the studio, we hope you had the best of birthdays. Now, I've got a whole lot of other calendar announcements, but I'm running a little tight on time, so this one I have to get on because you have to register by this Wednesday. They've got a fundraiser at the Sagersville Grade School for their Christian Youth Club to raise some money for a field trip they're going on, and to do so, they're selling Knickerbockers, prints, and portraits, and they're going to take the pictures next Friday and Saturday. It's just $10 for, like, I think it's 10 by 13, 2 8 by 10s, 2 5 by 7s, and 16 wallets. 21 pictures for $10, but you have to register by this Wednesday. Call 349-3411. Help support this great group and great cause and get a great deal on some Knickerbockers for yourselves and for your family. These funeral services to pass along, first in honor of 59-year-old Judy Stevens Rudd of Sagersville, who passed away last Thursday, survived by sons Scotty and Ricky Arnott and her daughter Crystal Rudd. Visitation is going to be after 6 o'clock. It started after 6 o'clock last night. It continues this evening and prior to tomorrow's services. They start tomorrow morning at 11 from the Sagersville Funeral Home. And 52-year-old Renee Minix Bowling of Lexington passed away on the 18th, formerly of Magoffin County. She was the daughter of Mildred Minix and the late J.B. Minix. She survived, besides her mother, by her husband, Ron Bowling, son Tanner, and daughter Chelsea Nicholas. Visitation will be after 6 o'clock tomorrow and prior to services that are set for Wednesday afternoon at 1, both from the Magoffin County Funeral Home. All right, time's ticking. I've got to get out of here and to the ball game, and I'm going to do so with a short and pretty sweet forecast brought to you by our friends at Licking Valley RECC. Tonight, partly cloudy, 49 degrees, pretty nice, pretty mild, pretty calm, actually. For tomorrow, we'll see the 60s return, 67, 52 on your Tuesday. I've got a 20% chance of showers making its way into the forecast and into the area, mainly after 3 o'clock. Clouds are going to be on the increase. This is ahead of some showers that are likely late tomorrow night, say after 10. Mainly between 10 and then 1 in the morning tomorrow night. That will set us up for Wednesday, where we'll see some clearing. 30% chance of showers lingering till 7 or so in the morning, but otherwise clouds giving way to some mostly sunny skies for your Wednesday, and temperatures indicative of that at right at 68, 69 degrees. Nighttime lows Wednesday should bottom out, if you want to say bottom out, at 54 degrees. Nice and mild. We'll go further into the forecast when we get back to tomorrow's program. I can tell you real quickly, Thursday, we are expecting 70 officially and 75 on your Friday. I've been making comparisons weather-wise now for days, and just think, on this day a couple of years ago, we were in the minus department below zero, and last year we were close to where we are today, and this year and later on this week, looking at possibly setting some records. That's it. Thank you for watching and being a part of the program. If we don't see you at the game tonight, we'll see you back here for highlights and scores on tomorrow night's program. Hope to see you then.